Strangford Lough, just 20 miles south of the city of Belfast, providing one of the most arresting views in the Drumlin county of Down. The natural backdrop here, a demanding challenge for some of the world's top triathletes. Hello and welcome to the village of Portaferry and the Coca-Cola International Triathlon. Now ahead of the 300 competitors today lies a 1.1 kilometre swim, a 43k bike ride and a 10 kilometre road race to the finish. Over at the start and waiting for us now, our commentating duo, two former Olympic gold medal winners, Steve Ovett and David Wilkie. Well, it's getting rather hectic behind me here at the Strangford Slipway as the 250 competitors get ready to compete in this 1990 International Triathlon. The weather really is superb. Steve, have you been along to a triathlon before?
Yes, I've watched 2 or 3, David. I love the event. It's really something which gets the imagination, really, an endurance, tough event for everybody. And this is the first time I've actually seen them when they actually got to swim across the tidal effect, so that's quite difficult, isn't it?
Well, they've got not only the tide to contend with, they've got the temperature of the water at 50 degrees. It's very, very cold. If you imagine, a lot of these swimmers are now training in a swimming pool at 80 degrees, so that 50 degrees is going to numb a few people. And I think we were talking to a few of them, and they said, you can't imagine when we get out of the water, our feet, we can hardly feel them, and then we've got to get on the bike. And you've done a little bit of cycling in your time for training.
It's tough.
It's tough.
Yeah, it's tough. And then you've got 25 miles of the bike ride, up and down hills. That's going to take a lot out of the legs. And then they switch from that, which is again a very difficult process, into the run. And when you come off the bike, your legs feel like they've been replaced by pieces of wood for the first half mile. But then they get into a rhythm, and they're hoping to run about 30 minutes for the 10k at the end, which is very respectable running. So these boys are really in good shape.
Well, they are very disciplined too. I mean, you think they've got to train for swimming, they've got to train for the bike, they've got to train for the run. Now, I mean, I train for the swimming, and you did the run. But try and put that all together and imagine where they get the time to do it from.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough life out there,
I mean, you've been talking to a few of them. What's the reaction? Are they confident to do a good time at this course?
Yes, we've got some top-class internationals here. I mean, Gareth McCarthy's come across from the States, and these sort of guys who are second in the Grand Prix in the States, they're no fools. They know what they're doing, and then they're over here to do a job, and they're really in great shape.
Is he going to be your favourite?
Well, I'll take him, I mean, I like taking favourites, but I think he's going to be pushed by a few of the others, and you've been talking to some of them.
Yeah, there's a guy from Zimbabwe who's been doing altitude training, Mark Marabini. Now, you've got to look for him. He's very confident, in fact, quietly confident. We had a chat with him before. Glenn Cook, who's one of the British guys that I'm going to go for.
And don't forget the ladies.
And the ladies. I mean, I'm sure some of those ladies are going to beat some of the guys there.
They will. They'll be out there to beat them.
How embarrassing. That's why we're not doing it.
That's right.
We don't want to get beat. Thanks very much, David and Steve. Now, one of the busiest places today will undoubtedly be the transition area, the place where valuable seconds are gained or lost, often the difference between victory or defeat. But it's not all serious competition, because today there's a number of team relays taking part, made up of competitors from across the sporting spectrum. And our reporter, Pamela Ballantyne, is in the transition area now, talking to two of those competitors.
Yes, I'm down in the transition area, and as Paul said, it's not all serious competition. We've got relay teams taking part. They will, of course, be taking it seriously. But some of our top sports stars are taking part, and I've got two of them with me now. Commonwealth bronze medalist Alistair Irvine and former Irish rugby captain Willie Anderson. Alistair, I can talk to you first. You're obviously doing the cycling leg. Have you been doing any extra training for this?
Yeah, well, 6 weeks ago we entered a team, so for the last 6 weeks we've been just doing special, keeping the training a bit shorter, a bit faster for this type of event, so we hope to do fairly well.
Now, Willie, you're a rugby player, but you're doing the 10k run.
That's right, yeah.
Is this a standard distance for you?
Yeah, well, I like to do a fair bit of running during this time of the year, and I thought this would be a good wee event to take part in. I've been doing a fair bit of running the last 5 to 6 weeks. Not that fast, mind you, but I do a wee bit. Enjoying it.
Well, how do you think you'll do? I mean, you're obviously in this to win.
Oh yes, I don't think it'll beat too many people. I think if I competed, I'd be quite glad. I think the whole part of us competing, and it's for a great cause, and we've got a great day as well.
Well, as the registration continues here in Portaferry, let's take a look at some of the magnificent scenery around Strangford Lough that the competitors really aren't going to have an awful lot of time to enjoy.
Strangford has been officially designated as an area of outstanding natural beauty. It's the largest sea inlet in the British Isles and renowned as one of the most important centres of maritime wildlife in Europe. Here, near the start of the triathlon, a colony of terns have chosen Swan Island as their nesting ground. Strangford is the most important site in Ireland for seals. For them, the fiercely swirling eddies and whirlpools which guard the Narrows hold no fears. So impressed were the 10th century Vikings with what they saw that they christened the place Strangford, the Norse for place of strong waters. 400 million tons of water flush the loch into the Irish Sea twice daily. And the fierce tide will mean a race within a race, because the Narrows are at their most benign for just 30 minutes at slack water. Any swimmer not over in that time will be plucked from the water. See, there's a breeze whipping up a gentle swell here in the loch. It's nervous moments for the competitors. We're just waiting for slack tide and the off, which gives us a chance to look at the route that lies ahead for them. It's just over half a mile from Strangford to Portaferry. Now that's 20 lengths of a 50-metre pool, but believe me, this is an exacting swim. Then it's on the bikes for a route that uses the natural contours. Inland there's a steep climb on Windmill Hill, and then it's downhill to hug the coast. 3 laps on the bikes before pedal power gives way to the foot rush. Out and back to the village square, a distance there of 10 kilometres. So let's join our commentators at the start, Steve Ovett and David Wilkie.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
There they go, one of the unique sights in sport, a mass start of 250 swimmers. Quite unlike the controlled start that you would see at the Olympic Games. But Steve, you're probably used to races like this when they're all massed together in maybe a cross-country race, jockeying for position there.
I think you're right, David. I think jockeying for position is very important, but look at that there, all the froth and the water pounding away. It must be very difficult technically to get into your own rhythm in that sort of crowd.
Well, you can imagine being in there with feet flying all over the place, arms flying all over the place, and the leaders, of course, want to make a big impact in this start. We're going to look at Garrett McCarthy, who's one of the top Americans over here, and we'll probably expect him to go for an early lead. He knows that he's got to get that lead over the man that's going to be chasing him, probably Glenn Cook, and then there's going to be Van Zels from Holland. But that's McCarthy just checking out his position. Notice that he's wearing a wetsuit, and the water's here very cold, as we mentioned before, 50 degrees. He's got a neoprene swim hat on also, and it's very important that he actually does look for the position, sees where he's heading for. There's a nice aerial view. McCarthy in the lead over Glenn Cook in second place. The water here a little bit tidal, they're being pushed over to the side of the island, and of course the canoes, they're not there to guide them but actually for safety reasons. And that's McCarthy, technically very sound. The buoyancy of the wetsuit certainly helping him. The goggles, of course, very important when you're swimming in this salt water, because the water really does irritate the eyes. And McCarthy showing good technique. Let's see what he actually thinks about this race.
The swimming is secondary to me because it's second nature. Running was my weakness, so I did a lot of running, and that's come up along, and a couple riding with some cyclists.
And our first bird's eye view again from the helicopter. The leaders spacing the field out, but now we've joined the backpack, and the tide beginning to push them over a little bit, and you can see at least 400 meters is now separating this field. They started just a little bit late, and I think the tidal effect is beginning to affect the way they're swimming this